I want to say that today is March 11, 2024. This is session number 1 of Discovering the Essence of Nonviolent Communication, an open-hearted practice group with Jim and Jory Mansky. And I will turn it to you and welcome and thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's give Martha and Robin a big wave for being here to support us today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and thanks to all of you who are here as well to practice nonviolent communication. Nonviolent communication, Jory and I ran into it about 24 years ago. And
With Marshall?
We had been mediators for about 7 years when we were invited to go to a thank you workshop with Marshall that was thanking the volunteers that were coming to do volunteer mediations in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so that's where we met Marshall. And within about 15 minutes, I was completely captivated. And Marshall brought out his signature puppets in his ears, and he did his Marshall thing. And I was just completely gobsmacked, completely present, completely. And by the end of the class, I said, I can think my life changed today. I think this is going to change everything about how we mediate and what happens from now on. Within about 3 years, we were certified trainers, and we started our mission of supporting the Center for Nonviolent Communication and spreading Marshall's work around the world. And today's class is a real testament to that. We have people from, I don't know how many different countries here, but it's just such a thrill for us to be here with you all. This particular practice group emerged out of a teeny tiny practice group that was here in our house. We've been doing it since we moved to Maui in 2010. And when the pandemic hit 4 years ago today, we moved to an online practice group. And suddenly we found out that the whole world could learn together on Zoom. So typically we have people from the United States, from India, Singapore, Indonesia, China, who knows where, from all around the world coming together because we have a lot in common, our universal human needs. And that's the focus of nonviolent communication. And so what we usually do here is we start with a self-connection exercise. And a self-connection exercise just means it's kind of like a meditation. I'll be guiding you through your own direct experience, not trying to take you anywhere or influence you to do anything or other than to just notice your own experience and to practice a nonviolent communication just with yourself. And then when we're done with that, it'll probably take about 7 to 10 minutes. I would like to invite Martha to prepare small groups for you of about 3 people at random.
Groups of 3.
Groups of 3. And in those small groups, we'll give you what you're going to do when it's time, so you don't have to worry about it right now. But it's just going to be a chance to connect and meet new people.
Yeah, we'll give you a possibility of what you can do. You don't have to either in the groups, but just to give you some guidance to support the quality of connection with yourself and the other people you're with.
So unless there's something else up that really needs to be said before we dive into the self-connection exercise, I'd like to do that next.
How long is the small group session?
Oh, each small group depends on which one. The first one's usually about 12 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty short.
Yeah, we try and interchange the what's happening from us being the talkers to you being able to be with someone or in a small group to talk, because the person doing the most speaking is often the one who's doing the most learning, and it's a way of integration.
Yeah. Anything else before we dive in? Okay. Well, today's topic is presence. So I'd like to just invite you to notice what you're present to right now. Just ask yourself, maybe the first question is, are you aware? And if you heard the question, then the answer is positive, right? Of course you're aware. So that's a signature of presence. So what is it that you're present to right now? So different things can support our presence. One thing that I found particularly helpful is to just let my eyes relax. Keep them open and let them relax and look around. Just look around the space that you're in. And let your eyes go wherever they want to go. So you can kind of just relax. Just let your nervous system drive the bus.
Mm.
And just feel free to let your eyes drift down, go up, look behind you, wherever your eyes want to go. This is my experience, deeply enhances both a presence and a sense of safety. Then if your eyes have been open now and you're comfortable doing it, I invite you to close them and just listen. And notice what it is that you're hearing. You may also be aware of thoughts. That's okay. If you notice that you're caught up in thinking, just notice that, let it go, and return to listening. And then if you get back into thinking again, perfectly human, notice that, and gently guide yourself back to simply listening. You could repeat this exercise with the other senses, with smell, taste, and touch. But we'll move on to another way to practice presence, which is attuning to your body. So notice sensations in your body. It's usually easier with your eyes closed, but that's completely optional. And you're likely aware of 3 possible sensations, just in general. Something that's neutral, something that's unpleasant, or something that's pleasant. So just scan your body and notice sensations that are neutral, pleasant, or unpleasant with this attitude of presence. There's other descriptions for sensations that you notice, that's fine, like hot or cold or warm or tingly or tight or loose or anything like that. Just notice what your experience is and name it for yourself. Notice and name. You may also be aware of emotions. Sometimes we add layers of meaning to the sensations that we feel, and that's one way to describe emotions. Maybe you're feeling curious or bored or impatient or relaxed or some other emotion. Just again, notice it. If it has a name, you can name it. Where do these sensations and emotions come from? They come from our experience of our needs. And one way to access your needs, maybe the simplest way that I've discovered, is just ask myself, what's important to me right now? What's important right now? Sometimes we have words to describe these needs. Sometimes it's more of an energy. That's really beyond words. Whatever your experience is, just notice that. Enjoy it. Savor the needs that you're becoming aware of. Maybe you're here for learning or growth, information, or connection, community, or fun. Or something else. What's it about for you? So we've answered the first question that nonviolent communication was designed to answer, which is, how are you? Now it opens up the possibility for you to consider what will make your life more wonderful. The second question NVC was designed to answer. So we're going to have another couple hours together. What would make your life most wonderful for the next 2 hours?
Figure out how to
And if you want to write down these requests to support you and helping to get them met, that's fine. And we're going to transition out of the exercise. And so come back to the large group as if we're actually going anywhere, but you might come back to look at the screen and know that you're here with 126 other people or so, part of a community. Every single person had an experience. Martha, are you ready with some small groups?
Yes, I am. I heard 12 minutes, right?
Yes, 12 minutes with a minute at the end for finishing up. Does that work?
Yes, perfect. I
Okay.
just want to let everybody know that instead of room number, whatever, it says sala because my Zoom is in Spanish, but it's room. And I create a room that is called no breakout room for those who has an equal sign in front of their name or an X. They can go there. There's no breakout, but they no stay in the main room. So with this,
Okay, let me just say before we go, the purpose of the breakout is to connect. So you'll get a chance to be both honest, and that's the speaking part of NBC. So you get to share what your experience is of the exercise and of the group so far for the first 20 minutes. So it's your chance just to practice honesty. And then the other two folks in your group will be listening. That's the empathy part of NVC. So listen with an open heart to the other folks in your group. What I mean by listening with an open heart is listen for their feelings and needs. Of course, you're going to catch the content of what they're saying, but see if you can listen underneath the content for the depth of what their feelings, what the other person's feelings and needs are. And since we have 12 minutes, that's about 4 minutes per person. And then we'll come. Glad to have you here. Suleiman is from Syria.
Hi, Suleiman.
Glad to have you here. How are you doing? Like to just check in here? Would you like to just check in here with us, Suleiman?
Yes.
Yeah. How are you doing? How's life going for you right now?
Always I am happy to connect with the MBC community. At the same time, it's difficult to stay connected. A lot of feelings at the same time, happiness and sadness for the situation around us. And try to keep our vision clear. And I am happy also that we started a new project for peace stories from Syria. Depends on the NBC approach also.
I love it. I love hearing about that.
It's
Feel
exciting.
inspired.
Yeah, inspired. That's the feeling. Inspired.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I really resonate with how you check in with both happiness and sadness in the same breath. You know, that's how it is for me. And it's hard for me to imagine what it would be like to be so much closer to the conflict zones the way you are in Syria. I'm in the middle of, nowhere, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And it affects me. I just can't imagine what the energy field is like where you are. So my heart goes out to you, and I'm very inspired by your willingness to continue to work for peace.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
And everybody will be back here in the large group in about
now
45 seconds. Some people are coming back early.
Also, Jim and Jerry, this is Rob. We can't request people to be in the breakout group.
You would do it with, could make your request to Martha.
Martha. Oh, she's doing her thing. Oh, that takes that task off you guys' hands. That's good.
We get to keep our hands free so we can wave a lot.
Yeah, and putting an equal sign before your name clarifies that too.
If you don't want to be in the group.
If you don't want to be in the
Yeah. I was just feeling so much closeness with the group we had. This is really hard to have over 100 people in it now. There's a part of me which just wants to drop out because it was really getting sweet as it was.
Yes.
Yeah, so adapting.
Yes, it's about adapting. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, everyone is now back, I think.
They're still coming.
Yeah.
They're still coming.
And
You
so
see it right here.
I was just listening to Rob, and I can just reflect back what I heard, Rob, that you notice
Yeah.
that things have shifted for you, just noticing that there's 130 people here, and we usually have 30 or 40, and it feels different for you to have so many people here.
Yeah, and because I was able to request, I knew people that really had a great connection, and it was developing, and met my need for depth to. Some people already knew some of my story or whatever this, or I just love their empathy. So yeah, adapting here, and I'm open. So we'll see how it goes, and
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate your honesty.
yeah.
And Tanya?
I just want to give a shout out to my new best friend, Nelson. We had a lovely chat, and I'm just so thrilled that we're mixing it up a little bit, and new folks are showing up, and you know, this may not be everybody's cup of tea, but it certainly is mine, and I'm really glad to see everybody showing up.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya. I'm glad you showed up.
Yeah, and I really love that you highlight that we have an opportunity to actually have some personal connection with people. We try and keep that going here so that it's not just up in our head, it's also in our heart.
Yeah, so you've intuited that when we come back from small groups, we'd like to hear from a few people in the large group. So if you would like to be heard in the large group, then you can raise your hand. There's a little button on the bottom of your screen that says reactions. There's a hand raising button in there. And there may even just be a button that says raise your hand down there, depending on which kind of Zoom you're on at the moment. So we'd love to hear a few more voices, especially if this is your very first time. It'd be fun for me to hear what your voice sounds like. And so Anna, is it Anna or Anna?
Yeah, Anna, thank you.
Yeah, Anna.
Hey, I'm so grateful. I'll just say quickly that I'm very excited. I had heard about MVC like many years ago, and I think I was very intimidated, and my behavior and my anger with my husband really was coming to a head. I'm on my second marriage, and when I had like this moment, like, oh, when my needs aren't being met, I start yelling because I think she's gonna hear me better. And so, and then I saw on Sound True that the Marshall's program, and I started it, and I've been just immersed in it, and it's like it's so eye-opening, and I have a lot of compassion for myself right now that like, oh my God, I was just trying to get my needs met. I'm not this bad person that like yells, it's like, and I come from a Sicilian family, and that's what they do. And but the truth is that I was just trying to get a need met. And so I'm super excited about just this idea. This is a deeper level for sure. I just think it's beautiful work, and I'm hopeful that I love this idea of seeing what's alive in myself, and then being able to see what's alive in other people, and to be able, first I need to figure me out, and then after that, like after I get an idea of what's going on for me internally, then I feel like I can have more space if I could figure out, the biggest gift I feel is that if someone's talking and I could really see what they're saying underneath what they're saying, that would be like so beautiful for me, and such a gift to that person, because it's not really ever about, and just the defensiveness, all of the things that we use. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And thank you for summarizing NBC so elegantly. It's if we can just understand what's really important to the other person, we can create that quality of connection that we're all so much longing for. Maggie?
You're still muted, Maggie. We can't hear you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks for the prompt. I come from a very small, rural, very isolated village of the interior of British Columbia. I'm about 4 hours north of Spokane, Washington, 8 hours west of Calgary, Alberta, and about 10 hours east of Vancouver.
And I thought we were in the middle of nowhere.
I am in the middle of nowhere. It really is quite the middle of nowhere. And through the winter, very isolated because the roads are quite bad. It's really treacherous driving. And I have less interest in leaving town because of that through the winter. NVC, I was drawn to this because of some personal growth work that I was doing. And one of the things I became very conscious of was that communication, I was born in the 1950s. My father was a returning World War II veteran. And the communication style that went on in our kitchen when I was a small child left a lot to be desired. And I've worked hard to learn better communication, to be able to talk in clearer ways. But I became aware that when I'm stressed, overtired, triggered in some way, I don't always communicate in a way that leaves me feeling really good about myself. And just really wanted to explore better communication. And where my search led me to was to nonviolent communication. And did a bit of looking around, and it seemed like the right item. And I immediately ran out and bought the book 2 weeks ago and got the companion workbook 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And found a trainer who is retired. She's in her early 80s. She doesn't teach courses anymore. She's out of Calgary, Alberta. And she was willing to meet with me on Zoom one-on-one.
Nice.
Wow.
And work with me.
That's
and
excellent.
yeah, it is. And we had our first session on Saturday. And when I told her about finding this course in an internet search and having registered for it, she was very, very keen to hear back from me about how this went and what I thought about the process in terms of how this is set up and what the engagement will be like.
Wonderful. Me too. I'm keen to hear about it, how it is for you as well. Thanks, Maggie. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I appreciate being able to get to know you just a little bit, and we'll hear from a few more people just to have that sense of longing.
Let's go to another Canadian, Brenda. There you go.
Hi. Yeah, I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan, and I have been trying to get in, find the link ever since you guys told me about your group when I was at IIT in California in 2022. You guys were internet. You guys were supposed to come, and then in the end, you didn't. You stayed home, but you did some
Yeah, we did
internet courses for us. And so, I'm so excited to have finally seen it pop up and it worked with me. And to Maggie, I'm in Saskatchewan. I mean, I'm willing to connect with you. I've been working with NVC for, I was introduced probably about 20 years ago, and I've really gotten serious, say, in the last 5 years. And so, would love to connect. I mean, if there's some way we can get, an empathy sign up, and you're interested, Maggie, one Canadian to another, because here in Saskatchewan, I don't really know of a single other person who's formally involved with NVC. And so I've been trying for the past couple of years. I've really been trying, but I just haven't been able to get the traction to really get it out there broad spectrum.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for the request, and I really encourage that request that you made, is to connect with people here and get a practice buddy. Hopefully, we will figure out a way to kind of build some of that into the program as we go. You can certainly connect through the chat here during calls to look for empathy buddies and set up appointments. There'll be time at the end of each call. We call it the after party. And you can also see if you can find someone to connect with there. I still see about 10 people who would like to speak, and I'm really torn because I want to hear all your voices, and yet we have a lot of other things on the agenda. So see if you can keep your comments to maybe 20 seconds, and let's see what we can hear from each of you, starting with Andrea and then going to Chandana.
Well, I'll be really quick. I just wanted to introduce myself. The head of our NVC community in Arizona sent out the link. And I've been taken a couple of classes at the college here and been in other practice groups, but I'm just eager to keep practicing and finding new acquaintances because, you know, there's a learning curve with NVC. And even if, you know, for me, having mastered the nuts and bolts of it, if I know that I have issues that get in the way of me practicing a clean NVC process. And I suspect that's true for most of us, but feelings get very messy sometimes. And it's hard for me to be empathic when I'm triggered. So I'm really just hoping to keep growing to the point where I can stay out of my own stuff and receive all communication as a gift, no matter what the form is of the delivery. So I will pass, but I'm happy to be here.
I love that aspiration to receive all communication as a gift. Yeah. I love it. Thank you. And Chandana, is that how you pronounce your name?
Chandana. Hello, everyone.
Chandana. Hi.
Hi. For me, this is amazing because I live in the middle of nowhere in northern Thailand. I don't speak Thai. I have very few English-speaking people around me. And I've never done anything like this. I'm just so curious and excited and delighted. Thank you for your generosity, and I'm just
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I feel it in my heart just as I look at you and everyone here, just to have that sense of connection. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Umesh?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Umesh. I'm from Bangalore, India. Okay, and I'm 42 and probably a minority in NVC community. Okay, guys. Okay, so I attended IIT, 9-day IIT, just 2 weeks back. It was 1 week back. Okay. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay. I had come about Master Rosenberg's work, in like 2009, but I discovered this community in India only last year. Okay. And I'm here, and to keep this, I will take an insight. I came there because I really like the conflict resolution work that Marshall Rosenberg does and how you can go behind the enemy images. And my own realization has been during the workshop is I either fly or freeze at the conflict. Okay, and that has become a very limiting factor. Okay, for me, where I've been unable to intervene. Okay, I've been unable to do anything. Okay, and I've seen situations slide. So, and I'm here to learn the mediation skills.
Okay, wonderful. I really enjoy hearing your aspirations and what your hopes are. So that's very helpful for me as a trainer. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Rama? Oops, you're muted still.
Oh, hello, good evening from Richland in Eastern Washington. I'm Rama Divagupta. So dear friends, Rama is female and Rama is male. So don't change my gender, okay? Rama. I'm a high school teacher and I also teach in the community college in the evenings. I am so delighted. My daily work schedule is all about communication, and I am struggling, literally struggling with observation, OFNR, judgment. And as a teacher, I'm like, my students are not engaging. They're just not engaging. That's
Mhm.
an observation. And is this learned helplessness? Am I being judgmental? No matter how kind I am with my communication, I am not getting any engagement from my students. And this is not just me. K-12 teachers are getting burned out and leaving the classroom. And I want to contribute to my students' growth. And I also want to be at a place where I'm at peace, upholding my values and need for integrity as an educator. So I am so grateful when I saw this email newsletter. I'm like, oh, one more course, I can do it. And I'm like, suddenly I read, okay, oh, it's in the evening, 7 to 9 Pacific. And this is great because I get done with my evening class at 7 p.m. and boom, I switch on to the next Zoom. My heart is brimming with gratitude to both of you and to the entire community. Thank you so much.
Very welcome. I'm
Thank
glad you're
you.
here.
And I have a lot of gratitude for what you're doing too. And I'm pretty certain we can make a difference. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, thanks for checking in,
Yeah.
and please correct me when I inevitably forget how to say your name. So I apologize in advance, Rama. And
Rama, thank
yeah,
you.
Geeta.
Hi, I'll be pretty quick. I don't know if Jim and Jory, if you remember me, I was at an IIT years ago. Marshall was there. He was still alive. And I remember we had joke night one night, and your son was there and told some really good jokes. And so I'm just thrilled to be here, and I'm really grateful you're doing this. I've been wanting to get back to NVC. I've seen your offerings, but in fact, this is a little bit late for me. It's 8 to 10 my time, so I don't know if I'll last the whole 2 hours, but I'm really glad to be here.
Me too.
Wonderful.
Glad that
Glad
you're
you're
here
here
too.
too.
And Lou?
Hi, I'm also grateful to be here. I use what I understand of NVC in my work, and I want to know more about it and to be better at using it to help people. I work with I'm a therapist, so I work with couples some, and I want to be able to change what we're doing to self-compassion and listening and sharing needs and being able to feel needs. And also I want to use this in my life. I live in Iowa, but I may move to California to live close to my son and grandchild. And I don't want to do that unless I feel that we really understand what we're entering into and that we can all get our needs met. So I'm looking forward to a deeper understanding of nonviolent communication.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for that clarity.
Yes. And John?
Yes, hi everybody. As I mentioned to the lovely people in my breakout group, I came to nonviolent communication. It was the night of the Ukraine war broke out a little over 2 years ago, and it just floored me, filled me with tremendous anxiety, and it just got me thinking. What can I do for my part of the world? My home, my family, neighborhood. Just on a small level, because so much out there is so big and overwhelming. And I furiously Googled that night, and I came upon nonviolent communication, and I watched a wonderful seminar with Marshall Rosenberg, ordered the book, and I just want to say I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm grateful that there are so many people here because there's so many wonderful people to learn from. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, really appreciate hearing all these new voices. I wish I could hear about 120 more, but well, I'll feel full enough for now. And hopefully we'll hear from more voices toward the end of the call. And as we keep going, we're going to be here all year, so we'll get a chance to hear from all of you as we keep going.
And there is a chat where you can write.
Yeah. And I'm fairly okay with keeping up with the chat, but when I'm actually teaching, not so much. But anyway, we'll see what happens. So let's dive into a little more practice here. going to share my screen with you. The whole series is called Discovering the Essence of Nonviolent Communication, an open-hearted practice group. And so, one of the things I wanted to say just to start off is when we went to that first class with Marshall, one of the things I took away from the class is, wow, he took this complicated communication thing that I've been studying for years. I'm a journalism major, and communication always seems so overwhelming and complicated to me. And he simplified it into these 4 components: observation, feeling, need, request. And he's got these 2 different parts, 3 parts, empathy, honesty, and self-connection. And then the speaking and the listening. So here's the whole thing boiled down into this really simple thing. And that was what was exciting. And then here Jory and Jim come along with our fellow trainers, Jake Gottwalls and Jack Lehman, and we decided to make it more complicated again. And so we created this matrix of 28 skills with 4 levels. And that's kind of the scaffolding that we'll be using to practice. So we're going to go really deep into these 4 components of NVC and to some of the other ideas, and then to see the actual application of how that unfolds. So today the class is on presence. And so just inhabit this guy, empathize with this guy for just a moment, sitting on the end of the pier in this beautiful place. And just imagine the quality of presence they might be generating.
Yeah. And just imagine what that feels like there for him.
You have an idea of what presence means. So take a minute and just consider the question, what does presence mean to you? Imagine maybe that you were going to have a conversation with a friend, and the topic of presence came up, and they asked you, well, what does presence mean to you? How would you answer it? So we'll be quiet for about 5 minutes so that you can consider what your answer is. And if you'd like to, write it down. This could be, especially if you're a CNVC certification.
Yeah, so just take a couple of breaths here as we move into the next part.
Yeah, take a minute and stop. Just stop doing anything. Just let your brain rest. Sometimes it's helpful to close your eyes and just be present with yourself. And in a minute, Martha, I'd like to invite people to go back to small groups, another 12-minute experience in the same groups. There might be some changes because some people have come and gone. And the purpose of this small group is to share what comes up for you about presence. And the reason that I offer this is to give you an easy way to practice empathy and honesty, and also the skill of observing. So here's how it works. You've got 3 people in your group. The person who's speaking, or the speaker, is practicing honesty. And the idea is that you speak from your heart about your own direct experience of presence. And it might be things that you celebrate about your own presence. That might be things that you're sad about presence, frustrations, whatever's alive in you about presence. It's just your chance to be honest. The second person in the group is the empath. And your idea is to practice silent empathy. So you won't be responding to what the other person says, except with your eyes, with your heart, with your body, but not with your mouth. It's a joke, an old NVC joke, that you don't need your mouth to listen. And so the idea is that you just open your heart, open your ears, and be present. This is the chance to actually practice presence. And then the third role, if happens to be 3 people in your group, some groups only have 2, but if there's a third person in the group, that's the observer. You're observing. This is you're neither empathizing nor being honest necessarily. You might be empathizing, but you're going to keep your mouth shut. And you're just observing. You're observing the level of connection, what you can sense about connection. Just noticing it for yourself. If you notice an observation of something that you sense supports connection, maybe you make a note to yourself about that to encourage yourself to do more of it and so forth. So 3 roles: speaker, listener, and observer. After about 4 minutes, switch. So try to take care of each other in terms of time. If you have a timekeeper, that can be really helpful. Maybe the first observer is also the timekeeper, and you let the other person know when they have about 30 seconds left. So everybody has a chance to share about presence. Okay?
And there's groups of 2 and 3.
Yeah. So if you're in a group of 2, you just get to do it longer and go deeper. Okay? Any questions before we go to small groups?
And I invite you to turn your microphone,
Your camera.
your microphone off.
Oh, yeah. I think Martha will take care of that too. All right. And you're back. So these 3 roles that you just had a chance to practice: empathy, the listening part of NVC; honesty, the speaking part of NVC; and the observing part. I'd love to hear maybe from 2 people in each role. So starting with people who are practicing empathy. If you have something that you'd like to share briefly with the large group about what it was like to be off the hook. What I mean by that is your instruction was to not open your mouth, just to be present and listen. What was that like for you? Lisa J.
I found it enormously freeing and relaxing.
Yeah.
That there was no urgency to offer verbal empathy.
Yeah. Freeing and relaxing. And I'm guessing that by having the sense of freedom and relaxation, that supported even more presence. Does that match your experience?
Yeah, I would say it allowed it to expand. Thank you. That was a great exercise.
Thank you, Lisa J. Linda?
So listening, being the empathy person, I'm learning from, I feel like I'm learning from the other person, and it's really connecting. I feel connected to the other person, and they might say something that resonates with me, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that sense of resonance seems so important. Ian?
Ian, in this case. Anyway, I had a kind of odd moment where I was the empathy partner, and my partner, who was being honest, honestly had a long, uncomfortable pause, and it was really uncomfortable not to say something, because it seemed like that was the empathic thing to do, was to say, do you want to go on, or are you complete, or something, rather than just staying silent in that situation.
Yeah, a stretch. Yeah, wonderful. Beautiful. And we'll finish with Nora, then we'll go, next question will be for people who are practicing honesty. Nora?
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you. Thank you for being here and inviting me in. I was a little bit late today, but I went into the breakout room and felt immediately comfortable with my group, and thank you to them. And I just wanted to share that being let off the hook right from the start is a good thing. When you don't feel the pressure to perform or to, say this great thing.
Right.
Be completely honest and completely transparent from day one, right? It's yeah, we work through that, and I definitely felt more free to be more honest. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
So the freedom to be honest emerged from the experience of empathy. Cool. So anybody else have anything you'd like to share, one or two people, about the experience of being able to speak freely, knowing that no one was going to ask you any questions or try to cheer you up or correct you or anything other than just listening? What was that like for you? Andrea?
It's probably better than winning the lottery. I've had this experience so many times with people in NVC groups that when I feel really listened to, I can start off being incredibly uncomfortable. But by the end of the group, I will be transformed. So whatever energy I needed to free myself of, just by virtue of being listened to, even if nothing is said, there's something about that witnessing process that is very healing. And especially when you can anticipate not being judged for anything that you say, just having someone present with you. So I loved it. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. I love the way you put it too, and it resonates for me as well.
One more role was observer. Did anybody have any observations you'd like to make about what it was like to watch, to be present for two people having an experience of empathy and honesty like this? If you'd like to share what you go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with myself. I had no cognitive, no hooks to hang this new learning on inside of me. So I started to doodle, and I just didn't know what I was doing. Thanks.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find doodling very helpful myself, finding something to, because there's this part of my mind that wants to be somehow engaged, and observing is effortless. So there's no doing in observing. And so this doing part of me gets really kind of confused about what to do. So it starts doing something.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Cheryl?
Yeah, I noticed that it's much harder for me. I had a harder time online being the observer than in person. I couldn't feel the connection between the speaker and listener, although I assumed that it was there. So I wonder how that could be nurtured in a Zoom context.
Yeah, good question.
And it's an experience, and it's one that's not familiar yet, but it can be.
Yeah, I've been amazed about Zoom. I was very doubtful about this online stuff, but Jory and I started experimenting with it when Jory was the executive director of CNBC in 2006. I started my first online practice group, is what I call it. And there was no video, it was just on the phone. And that was 2006. And it's like, can there possibly be any connection here? And we kept finding ways. And then when Maestro came along, and then later Zoom, and we had this added channel of being able to see each other, the connection continues to increase. But there's nothing like being in person. I'm still prejudiced.
Yeah. But I do want to celebrate being able to look at your faces and feel that sense of community and connection. I know I've said it before, but it's just so alive in me. I just love it. Thank you.
Jagadish, and then we'll finish with Sarah Joy and then another practice.
Thank you. I actually, as the observer, felt more relaxed and off the hook than I did as the empathic listener. So I rather enjoyed being the observer. I felt like I could just rest.
Uh-huh.
Beautiful. That makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense to me.
It certainly does. And just that you recognize that and give yourself permission to feel what you feel. Thank you.
Yeah. And Sarah Joy, one of our veterans who's been here like for 4 years.
You wouldn't know it. Never mind.
You've been
I-
stalking us, I know.
I think I had a chance to practice my observation skills, which I sometimes, I need work with. So I appreciated it. And I noticed resonance going on between the observer and the speaker when there was some head nodding. And I could feel that was the connection. And I felt like people were learning and I was pretty curious. And yeah, so it was okay. It was a good experience.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you all for sharing. And let's just stop again. Just stop whatever you're doing and rest. Your brain's working really hard here, keeping track of 125 people on the screen and whatever else is going on in your life. So just rest for a moment. Give yourself a break. And I'll share my screen with you again. And we'll talk a little bit about presence and do another practice. So when Jory and I and Jake and Jack wrote the Matrix in 2000, we started in about 2007. Took us 2 or 3 years to write it. Every sentence that we wrote, every punctuation mark, every word was come to through the NVC process. We did it all through connection, through consent, and through compassionate giving and receiving. And our goal was to use the least number of words possible to create the most amount of clarity. And so the definition that we came up with as a group of 4 back then was presence was being attentive to what is happening right now, not lost in thinking, emotional reactions, etc. And then we're not going to spend a lot of time on this today, but let's see, why isn't this going forward?
Yeah.
Okay,
there you go.
So
Yay.
each skill that we'll be working with has 4 different levels of integration. And this will be in your classroom, by the way. So you don't have to worry about writing this down or anything like that. But I just basically want to give you a brief lesson in how the matrix is set up. So we all start every single skill, whether it's an NVC skill or learning to play the piano or whatever your goal is, we start out unskilled. We start off with this level of unconscious incompetence. We don't even know that we don't know how to do something. And so that's the natural way every skill development begins. And then we become aware of the skill. And now we know there's something that we want to be able to do, but we don't really yet know how to do it. So we're consciously incompetent. Incompetent is not a moral judgment in this case. It's just an observation. I don't know how to do it. Like, for example, I've been working on learning to play the ukulele since we came to Hawaii in 2010. And there are certain chords that I am still very consciously incompetent of, even after 14 years. And we just started going back to lessons again. And so I know what conscious incompetence feels like. And it can be shameful and embarrassing, frustrating, and exciting, and full of curiosity and wonder as well. So all kinds of emotional experiences are possible with conscious incompetence. And with practice, you can become capable with a skill. So like, it's really easy for me to do a C chord and a G chord and A minor and a few other chords with the ukulele. About 10 chords I've got mastered now. So I'm capable, but it still takes me effort. I have to watch where my fingers go with some of the chords. And so I'm consciously competent with those chords. But with some chords, I've actually become integrated. They become part of my body. They become part of my identity. So I can do, there's about maybe 6 chords now. I don't need to look at where my hands are anymore. And now I can start working on my picking because my left hand knows what it's doing. So I become unconsciously competent with that. So that's the way all these NVC skills are going to be for you. Yeah, and you'll notice, if you're like me, that there's also this when.
Impatience.
Like when am I gonna when am I at what level? So if I'm well rested, well fed, and so forth, my basic needs have been satisfied, it's much easier to perform at a capable or integrated level, whether it's ukulele or NVC.
Or something else.
And so it's really about being gentle with yourself as you go through your various levels of integration. And we'll talk more about presence next week. So let's see if there's yeah. So here's a quote from Marshall. I love bringing Marshall into our classes because he's our teacher.
Yeah.
And he was the creator of nonviolent communication. And so often we will have little videos of Marshall and quotes and so forth to remind us of the source of this beautiful system that we're exploring together. Joy, would you like to read that? Would you like me to?
The watch your head? No. Go ahead, you go ahead.
What is essential is our ability to be present to what's really going on within, to the unique feelings and needs a person is experiencing in that very moment. And so then the little sign up above is in Chinese, and it says, watch your head, please. And this is to help us to make the distinction between our moral judgments of what's going on and our value judgments, what the needs are that are alive in us or in the other person. So just be aware of what's going on in your head, and that will support your presence. I see a couple questions on the board, and start with Samya.
Hi, thank you. So I was wondering if you could maybe go to the previous slide where you had the different levels of competence. I had a question about the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. So under integration, you've mentioned resourcefulness, interdependence, and a perspective of past and future. And I'm curious how these are connected to the skill of being present. Like how is resourcefulness, interdependence, and the past and future perspectives shaping or contributing to the skill of being present in the moment?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think you'll discover your own answer as you keep practicing. But what I've noticed in my own life is that the more I've become present to what's actually happening, the more access I have to my needs. And that's the resources. I think that's what we're pointing to here with the word resourcefulness, that we have access to needs. And that access to needs supports us in remembering our interdependence. We're not in this alone. We are a we. And if your needs are not met at some very deep and profound level, my needs are not met. That's interdependence. And like someone was saying earlier in one of the debriefs about after the practice, something about I was really learning something from the other person as they were speaking, and I was the empath. That's interdependence. That's seeing that we're actually engaged in a system of mutual education. And within that, we don't lose our perspective about the past or the future. The past is full of experiences that have shaped us and helped us to be who we are, that perhaps have stimulated healing and growth, and so forth. And the future is a future of possibility. So I want to keep that in mind too, what our aspirations are, what kind of social change goals we might have for ourselves or our communities. And so all of that naturally emerges from presence, at least in my experience. Does that help answer the question?
Oh, so very helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now we have some more hands up.
So the next hand is Ellen from Indonesia. Hi, Ellen. Good to see you again.
Hi, Jim and Jory. I noticed that the verbal portrayal of presence is very similar, if not the same, essentially with mindfulness.
Yeah.
Is it possible to use them interchangeably, those two terms, presence and mindfulness, or are
If it
they
works for
different?
you, yeah, if it works for you, I think that they are very, very, if they're not the same thing, they're related. And so, Marshall always used the word presence, probably because of the influence of Carl Rogers, who was his teacher. And mindfulness wasn't the thing back in the 50s and the 60s. It was not a thing in the West. In Asia, it was already a thing, but we were slow to catch on here. And now mindfulness practices are everywhere in corporations and so forth. And I think what mindfulness practice does is it supports presence, and presence supports mindfulness. And so I think that mindfulness practices answers the question, how? How do I become more present? And so I think that that's really important. NVC is another way to answer how. How can I become more present, is to focus on observations, feelings, needs, and requests. And then the other question that we'll keep digging into next week and beyond is who? Who are we? Who do we want to be? Who's our identity? And that's another level of presence. And we'll play around with that as we keep going. And Colleen?
So a question that came up for me was, when I'm really focused on something, I feel like I'm being really present, but it might be that I'm choosing to focus on one thing, sensation or hearing or whatever it is. And yet we talked a lot in our little breakout group about feeling the totality, but so they both seem accurate to me somehow. And I was just wondering what your take on that was.
Yeah, of course, we're human beings with minds and awarenesses, and it shifts, and sometimes the attention is really broad, sometimes it's really narrow. But we're awake. It's the difference between being awake and asleep, whether you're really asleep in bed or just, spacing out. That's the real difference.
Yeah, that matches for me. I mean, just check your own experience right now. How many things can you be present to right now? It's one. The answer is always one. We can always just be present to one. How big is that one thing, though? That's where we have some stretch available. There's a old story about a Zen master. I think it was Shunryo Suzuki, who came one of the first Zen masters to come from Japan. And he was sitting in and teaching one day, and one of his students started complaining. And the student said, Master, you're always telling us to just focus our attention on one thing at a time. That if we're eating breakfast, we just eat breakfast. And if we're reading the paper, we're just reading the paper. But this morning I watched you at breakfast, and you were reading the paper while you were eating. Can you please explain what was going on? He said, well, this morning I was reading the paper while I was eating. So he just found a way to expand his awareness, really, and that's what it is. So we can pay attention to just observation, just feeling, just need, just request, and then gradually we become more aware of the totality, as someone called it a moment ago. I love that word, the totality. I hope that's helpful. And Tanya?
Someone, and I won't even try to pronounce their name because it's Chinese, but about 6 minutes ago, and they put the same ideograms in a different order and than you had. So any comments on that?
No, I didn't see it in the chat. I took that was a picture that I took when we were in China, and there was a particular place where you actually had to duck your head to go underneath, like through a tunnel or something like that. I'm only 5'4", or I just learned I'm 5'3", 3.75. So I'm either shrinking or, but anyway, I didn't need to duck, but I could see why most people would. And so that's where that picture came from, that was a real life picture from China. So, okay, so we only have about 15 minutes left.
Right.
And one of the things we wanted to do today is orient you to the classroom that we'll be using. And so I want to invite Martha to come back in and spend a few minutes sharing how you navigate the classroom so you can find out how to communicate with each other and how to find the recordings and handouts and stuff like that. So Martha, can you do that for us?
Yes, sure. I'm going to share my screen with step by step, so you can find a lot of stuff there. So here we go. This is the main room, the main page, sorry. And when you put nvcacademy.com, this is what you see. Then you will go to sign in, and then ask you for your username or your email address here and your password, and you click on sign in. Once you sign in, you will go here. You are in our page now, and it shows your name. It says Marta Suarez U, that this is me, and my user, Marta SU2. Then you want to go to my live courses because you are in a course now. You click on live courses. Oh, wait. Wait a second. I will stop sharing in order to not put something in the recording that we don't want to have it. Hold a second, just a second, please. I was prepared, but I don't imagine. Okay, I'm in now. Well, then you go to my live courses. Here you are. Live courses. I don't know. I don't want to. Oh, I think it's something with the connection. Sorry about that. Okay, here it is. Okay, now you go to my courses, that it here, it says my courses, and you will see all your courses you are in. If you are just in this course, you will see this, that is discovering the essence. But before going there, in search, you can put the name, for example, this, and it showed me the name in case you have a lot of courses. And you also have this tab that is source by last access or by course name. I think the easiest way to your course by clicking in the image or clicking in the name of the course. Sorry, it's slow. Here you are. This is the classroom, and this is the way you will see your classroom. We have the course part and the participants part. I will show first the course part. This is the welcome part. Here is most, and then, well, at the end of the course, you will find a feedback form, a schedule, and then there is the Zoom link that is always the same, and the schedule with all the sessions. And something that we have is that you can click here in Add to My Calendar, and you will have all the sessions in your calendar, in your own calendar, in your own time zone. This is great. Then the handouts we will put in this tab that it says handouts, and we have put all the numbers of the sessions and the date, and we will add each week the handouts in case we have. Then we have the recordings. That's super important because that's the place in which we will put all the sessions, all the recording sessions, and also it has the number of the session and the date. As you see, there is all the sessions. Then we have the community space in which you have a forum discussion and an up contact list that if you click on it, there is a sheet in which you can put your name, your data, if you want to be contact, if you want to have an empathy pair, and also your time zone, because you know there are a lot of time zones here. I want to say goodbye to this. And we have these tabs, but also we have this little like box in which you can click on it, and you have also the same information, but in a different way. You can choose whatever is more easy for you to find the information. And finally, I want to show you the participants part, because if you want to contact someone that is not in the sheet, you can go and, for example, you want to look for Marta Suarez, you put first name M and then Suarez S, and it shows you all the participants with these initials. Here I am. So I think this is the tour of the classroom. Please let me know if you have any doubts or questions or requests. I will put here in the chat the link to access directly to the classroom. And if you are in MVC Academy, you will go there. And if you are not in MVC Academy, it will ask you for your password and your username or email account. That's it.
Great, Martha, thanks.
Thank you so much, Martha. Anybody have any questions? Anything unclear?
Great, it's a real service to have access to the classroom in this way. Go ahead, Pooja.
You're muted.
This
Pooja.
was really, 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 really very, very helpful. So I just wanted to thank you both and thank Martha for this. I have a follow-up question. I'm hoping to post it in the community, but feel free to let me know if this is a good time to ask that. Otherwise, I can hold it off.
Yeah, go ahead and ask.
Yes. So the skill of presence, when I saw that you had like the competency matrix for presence, I was curious, where does the skill of presence amidst the fight response stand? Because that's something that I heard multiple people mention during the course of things today, and I would love to get your thoughts and experience on that.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly not a brain scientist, but here's the way that I currently understand it, is that that presence is at the deepest level of our awareness system, of our nervous system. And so we can, with training, we can become more and more aware of our tendencies towards fight, flight, freeze, whatever our habitual patterns are, and maybe even create more choice. I'm not sure that I could ever not feel fight, flight, or freeze, but what I have noticed in my my years of practice with NVC and other things is that what happens after my reaction, I have more choice about. And so that's where where I think NVC skills can really help is in now what? From now on, what are we going to do? So I hope that's a little bit helpful. And if very good, guys, say a thumbs up. Great. Harmony? Fellow Hawaiian.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering on the contact list, which Martha just led us through, and you look up somebody's name, after you look it up, is it like you can contact this person through email or something like that? What is the point of the list of
Yeah, let's see what
people?
Martha has to say about that.
Yeah.
Yes, in the MPC Academy page, in the last part I show you, there is a internal chat for the group of the course. So you will not get the email, but you can write, and some pop-up will show into the person's account, letting them know you are writing to them.
Oh, it'll come up as a message to them
Yes.
through the MVC Academy website kind of thing.
That's
Okay.
right. Thank you
Okay,
for
thank
asking.
you.
Thank you for asking.
Okay. And
Go back a
Umesh?
Go back.
Hi. So I'm very glad, okay, to see people from so many countries over here. Okay, one of the things that I have struggled with, okay, is the prejudice or stereotypes that I had, okay, circles. And I have been trying to overcome that part. Okay, I think this is the best platform, okay, which is across the globe and teaches us how to see the humanness. Okay, makes it
Nice.
That's my
very
experience. That really resonates for me. It's been such a joy to be with you all today and to have such an international crowd. I don't even like the word international. I like the word global. This is a global practice group. And no matter where human beings decide to draw lines on the globe to make maps for practical purposes, we're part of one big interdependent system. And for me, that's the promise of nonviolent communication, is to help us to notice our interdependence and then care for it, to care for it, to care for one another and to care for ourselves. And that's what the skills and the consciousness of nonviolent communication have offered me.
And to expand it and contribute in creating the world that we want to live in.
Yeah. And so we will continue next week with a deepening into part 2 around presence. And I do want to encourage you to practice between now and then. The 2 practices that I would encourage you to do is, number 1, if you have a copy of Marshall's book, Nonviolent Communication, Language of Life, start reading it. And read as long as you have fun and have pleasure reading it. But go and I've read the book 40 times. Every time I've read the book, I learn something new. I hear something in a new way because I'm a different person than I was the first time I read it more than 20 years ago. And so just start reading it. If you can get through the first chapter, that'd be great. So that's practice number 1, is just to read Marshall's book. If you don't have a copy of it, your local library probably does. There's 8 million copies that have been sold of Marshall's book just in English. And so maybe you can get it. If not, you can join an online library called Everand, EVERAND. Costs about $10 a month or something like that. But it has all of Marshall's books available there. And you can sign yourself up for a free month there and try it out. I use Everand. I've been a member of Everand for several years now because it's so easy to access something like 1 million books. And so including my book.
There's a request right here, and I'm not sure which book.
Yeah,
I got it right up.
Sure, I got it. So it's nonviolent communication, language of life.
The pathways to nonviolent communication is what she's showing.
And then my book called Pathways to Nonviolent Communication,
Right.
which has the matrix in it. But I wouldn't worry too much about that yet. I would stay focused on Marshall. And the second practice is to do what we did with a friend. It could be your kid, your parent, a friend of yours that you have tea with. But do that 5-minute exercise of speaking and listening. Choose a topic, choose a warm topic, something that's fun to talk about. So you might ask your friend, tell me something wonderful that happened to you today. Or tell me a memory of a time when you received an unexpected gift. See if you can find a question to practice some empathy with on an easy topic.
Yeah, an invitation.
Yeah, make the invitation, and then that person speaks for 5 minutes, and you're off the hook. You can just listen for 5 minutes.
With empathy.
Listening
really
for the,
yeah,
exactly. Listening for the feelings and the needs underneath the content.
Right.
And then switch after 5 minutes. And then when you're done with that, talk about what it was like. Talk about what worked and what you enjoyed, and maybe give yourself some coaching about how you'd like to do it differently next time. Okay.
You got a hand up
And
over
Martha?
here? Martha? I think you froze.
Thank you. I just want to say that Yes from Colorado want to speak, but can't raise their hand.
I can't raise my hand.
Okay, go ahead and speak. Go ahead.
I looked everywhere for the raised hand. It's really weird. I've never had that problem
Just
before.
put it up, we see.
Put it up. Okay, here's my hand. Okay. So my question was actually how can I raise my hand, because I couldn't find it, but I also wondered if the participant list was sortable by country or by time zone.
I don't know that. We'd check with
Martha?
Martha?
Is it sortable?
Yes, it is sortable, or you can put in, there is a column, you can put observations, you can put, I have a preference to contact with someone with this time.
Okay.
So,
Great.
Thank you.
But
all right.
We figure out different ways.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question, and hopefully we can get you figured out how to raise your hand. And I like your resourcefulness, trying to find another strategy to reach us.
And we'll look forward to reaching out and being together next week at the same time.
Yep.
And we'll continue.
And now that the class is going to end here in just about 30 seconds, as soon as I can find my pause. And the idea here is an after party. So Martha, what I usually do is I just make like three groups and let it go at random. And people get put into 3 groups at random. Usually only maybe 5 to 10 people stay and just hang out for a little while randomly. And just it's a chance to just meet some other people and chat for a minute if you'd like to. We have had people stay on for as long as 2 or 3 hours, but usually it's just about 10 or 15 minutes just to say hello and have a cup of tea with one another. So Martha, whenever you're ready, you can set that up. How are you feeling right now?
I'm actually a little worried about Martha doing what you just asked, because this is someone else's program. So can we check with her on that? We did.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I feel relieved.
Yes.
And I also, as I look around and look at your faces, I can feel it in my body, just the appreciation, the excitement that we're in community together touches me deeply, because this is the world that I want to live in, and this is the world I think you want to live in too. So thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you do to take care of yourself and to also care for people around you and to make life more wonderful. So we'll see you next week.
All right. Aloha, everybody. Thank you for coming. See you next week. If you have any questions, you can write us through the classroom.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Aloha. Bye-bye.